Hello friends, and welcome to Pandemic Stitching number 5. With this we're going to be learning the whip stitch. The whip stitch is probably the most commonly used hem stitch in the costume shop because it goes in really fast. You can whip it in. So if we say to whip something, this is the stitch that we typically want you to do. You start with your needle threaded and knotted just like you did for every other stitch ever in the history of ever. And you're going to start by going through all the layers of the fabric, including your hem. Shall we go ahead and zoom in on the stitching here? Okay. There we go, at the first black dot. Then what you're going to do is at the next black dot, you're going to catch a tiny bit of your fashion fabric, which is like the main body of your sampler, and then poke your needle back through the hem. So this is what it looks like when you're taking the stitch. Then you're going to go to the next black dot and do the same thing. Catch just a few threads of the fashion fabric and then through the black dot. Catch a few threads of the fashion fabric and then into the black dot. So there's what it looks like. Few threads of the fashion fabric into the black dot. Alright, so on the front, what you end up with is a series of dashed lines like this, and on the back, almost invisible little dots. You don't want your stitches to be really any bigger than that. Like, you don't want to pick up more than like 3 threads of the fashion fabric when you're picking up the fashion fabric. One thing with this is when you're picking up your fashion fabric, you're not poking the needle straight in and straight out. Just like with the uneven baste, you're sort of holding the needle parallel to your fabric. So a few threads through the black dot. All right, Tobes, you can pause. Okay, so when you get to the end of your line of stitching, you're going to take your last stitch, just like you took all the others, and then you're going to knot it off, just like you knotted off everything else. So tiny bite of your fashion fabric and into the hem, like that. Wrap the end of your thread around your needle once, twice, pull your needle through, put it through to the back of the fabric, and cut it off. And so if you've done the whip stitch correctly, go ahead and zoom back out, Tobes. What you end up with is these slightly angled dashed lines on the front and itty bitty little dots on the back. And if this thread were a matching thread, you would not even see it. That's the goal, is for this to be basically invisible on the back side of the fabric. And that, my friends, is your first hem stitch, the whip stitch. Thank you.